moves out of a need to understand the incomprehensible to the final curtain, the moment life stops being ordinary and becomes history. But what if that history was never meant to be recorded? What if the last moments of a person's existence were captured not by a distant security camera or a passing bystander, but by their own device, pointed at themselves, broadcasting a terrifying final scene to the world? Tonight, we dig up 3 stories where the camera became the ultimate unwilling witness. These are tales of professionals making catastrophic errors, adventurers meeting sudden doom, and quiet moments turning into a desperate, unseen struggle. They are all linked by a haunting commonality. The final frame was their own. Prepare yourself. We're detailing the moment 3 lives were cut short, documented by the very people who had no idea they were recording their own end. Our journey begins in 1988, above the quiet, tree-lined landscape of Franklin, North Carolina. Our subject is Ivan Lester Maguire. Ivan was not an amateur. He was a 35-year-old skydiving expert, a veteran cameraman with over 800 successful jumps under his belt. His job at the Franklin County Sports Parachute Center was routine. Strap on the gear, capture the client's exhilaration, and land safely. But routine, as we've learned, is often the most dangerous thing. April 2nd, 1988 was a grueling day. Ivan had already completed 2 successful dives. By the time he was called up for a 3rd jump in the late afternoon, he was exhausted. Fatigue, that insidious killer of focus, had set in. He agreed to the dive anyway, a professional instinct overriding the body's warning. The plane climbed quickly, reaching 10,500 feet, where the air is thin and the world below is a distant memory. Ivan was equipped with a bulky 1980s camera gear, a massive backpack-like rig strapped to his body, ready to capture the client and instructor. He leaned out of the plane, checked his camera, and jumped first. His perspective, one of a man who'd done this 1,000 times. He was in his element. The client and instructor followed. Then the instructor's chute deployed. This was Ivan's cue. He reached for his ripcord. His hand met nothing. Panic, cold and visceral set in. He disregarded the shot, turning his helmet-mounted camera from the client's to himself, his lens recording the sheer, sickening realization. He searched his chest, his back, his side, frantic, clumsy movements in the brutal wind shear of freefall. He made the horrifying discovery that seasoned experts simply do not make. He was not wearing a parachute at all. With the instructor already floating safely away, help was not coming. The footage captured the last words that left his lips. "Oh my God, no." Then the image blurred. The descent sped up to 150 miles per hour, and the final catastrophic impact occurred in the woods near the runway. When rescue workers found the wreckage, Ivan's camera equipment was shattered. Investigators were able to splice the tape together, providing a terrifying first-person account of an inexplicable death. How could a man with 800-plus successful dives forget the single most important piece of equipment? The mystery remains unsolved, but 2 popular theories emerged: complacency, sheer exhaustion, or the most chilling possibility that his bulky, backpack-like camera equipment was so similar in size and feel to a parachute pack that Ivan and everyone around him mistook the filming gear for the life-saving rig. A tiny mistake caught on tape, leading to an irreversible, solitary end. Our second case shifts from the cold, fast air to the still warm water of a motel pool in Chatsworth, Ontario, Canada, in August 2022. This story is defined by a chilling irony, a desperate struggle witnessed by dozens, yet saved by none. Helen Wendy Nabuto was an immigrant from Kenya, a 23-year-old nursing student and personal support worker, trying to build a new life in Canada. She was the sole breadwinner for her family back home. Helen was working a new job in Chatsworth and staying at a local motel. On August 8th, she took a much-needed break. She found the motel's outdoor pool, a quiet, peaceful oasis. Helen wanted to share this peaceful moment with her social circle. She set up her phone and started a Facebook live stream. She had the pool all to herself. She can be heard stating her intention, "Let me enjoy some water." After about 10 minutes, she moved from the shallow end toward the deeper water. This is where the tranquility ended. Seconds after entering the deep end, she lost control. Something went wrong. A sudden cramp, a struggle with the water, and Helen began to drown. The camera kept streaming. Her desperate calls for help, the final sounds of a fight for life, were broadcast live to an audience of friends and family. But no one was there. Her viewers were hundreds or thousands of miles away, watching a small window on a screen, assuming someone nearby would notice. Helen struggled for nearly a minute, fighting the water. The frame of the phone, positioned safely on the side of the pool, showed the water's surface. Helen disappeared just outside its range, lost beneath the surface, yet still technically live on air. The stream continued for nearly 3 terrifying hours. The virtual audience could only watch the empty pool, the still water, and the chilling silence. It wasn't until 2 other motel guests arrived, saw what they initially mistook for a poodle or something, and finally realized the devastating truth that help was called.
Why is there just a dead person in my line?
I know that scared the when I got it. I think it's a poodle or something.
That looks so realistic.
I know. I got in and I was like, is it somebody? Walk over there. Just walk over there.
Dead? Like, what if it's actually somebody dead? Because I'm not even trolling. That looks way too real.
The live stream, which was meant to connect her to her loved ones, only gave them the heartbreaking visual proof of her final moments, watched and cried over by her own father. Our final case is perhaps the most jarring because of the sheer number of lives involved, all culminating in one passenger's unwitting final broadcast. We are in the skies over Nepal on the morning of January 15th, 2023. This was Yeti Airlines Flight 691, a short, routine domestic hop from Kathmandu to Pokhara. Among the 68 passengers was Sonu Jaiswal, a 25-year-old Indian tourist and adventurer traveling with 3 friends. They were headed to Pokhara for paragliding, excited for the thrill of the mountains. Sonu, filled with excitement, decided to live stream his descent into the scenic valley. The footage shows him smiling, his friends laughing, and the beautiful mountainous landscape filling the aircraft window. The flight had been perfectly smooth. They were on approach to the new distant sound, an explosion. Miraculously, Sanu's phone remained intact and continued to stream, but all his horrified viewers could see now were raging flames that consumed the camera feed. The screaming stopped. Flight 691 had plummeted into the riverbank just a few hundred meters short of the runway. All 72 people on board, passengers and crew, were killed. How could an entire flight, cruising smoothly, suddenly fall out of the sky on final approach? The investigation concluded it was a devastating case of human error. The pilot had requested an alternative, non-standard runway approach. The co-pilot, who was under training, misinterpreted a command during the turn. She accidentally switched both engine propellers to the feathered position. Feathering is used to reduce drag if an engine fails, but doing it to both engines at low altitude is fatal. The engines stalled, the plane lost control, and it plunged to the earth. A single unfortunate mistake caught on a passenger's live stream, costing dozens of lives. Ivan Maguire, Helen Nabuto, Sonu Jaiswal, 3 lives, captured from within the moment of their own passing. These recordings were not meant for evidence, not for posterity, but for routine work, a moment of peace, or an adrenaline-fueled thrill. Yet they remain a digital ghost, a first-person testament to the capricious nature of fate. In each case, a camera captured the rising action, the emotional peak, and the terrifying final silence, often continuing to broadcast long after the eyes behind the lens were closed. They stand as a chilling anomaly, records of a moment no one should have witnessed. But what if the camera wasn't just a passive observer? What if, in that final horrifying disorientation, when the laughter turns to a scream and the picture becomes a blur, something else, something darker is being documented? The last thing Ivan Maguire saw wasn't the ground, but his own frantic, desperate search. The last sound Helen's viewers heard was the gurgle of the water that took her. It forces us to ask, is the footage we've analyzed merely the evidence of tragedy, or is it, in some terrifying unknown way, a permanent